Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake. 'Cause I don't fucking care at all. You've been out all night, I don't know where you've been. You're slurring all your words, not making any sense. But I don't fucking care at all. 'Cause I'm only for you. But maybe you're too good for me. I'm only for you. But maybe you're too good for me.
Because sometimes when I see love, and I don't want to be back, almost like that I I'm so fucking tired, yeah. So what's up? What you say? Celebrate, tired of the fight. Second shit,
Cause I have hella feelings for you. I act like I don't fucking care, like they ain't even there. Cause I have hella feelings for you. I act like I don't fucking care, cause I'm so fucking scared. I'm only for